I am Ray, and today we're exposing the dark side of spiritual growth. I'm sure you know by now that this spiritual journey can be very confusing sometimes. What do I do? What's going on here? Why is my life falling apart? Great news is that you don't need to understand why, but I will show you what to do moving forward so you can optimize your spiritual growth and not be stuck for so long. Because there are a few things that if we don't understand, they'll keep us trapped. Hopefully you can see the blue marker today. If not, it's okay, I bought more. One of the biggest things is confusion, not Confucius. Now, if you just remember this, you'll be okay. Life is always the balance between two energies. It's the whole game. Just remember this little symbol that you've probably seen a billion times. Chaos and order. What is confusion? Too much chaos. If you want spiritual growth on steroids, it's all about the same one thing. Keep grounding yourself in the understanding that it's all about balance. You're going to be imbalanced toward one kind of energy or another. So all you got to do to remedy the problem and to continue your spiritual growth is to return to balance. Identify where you're getting stuck and then integrate the opposite energy. That is all. So if you are in chaos, if you're in confusion, use this time to slow down. Follow the flow of life. Think about the difference between a black hole and a star. In the black hole phase, which we go through many of them, it's a sign to return to stillness, to nothingness. It's a breaking down, chaos. So we have to dive deep into it fully in order to integrate whatever life is trying to show us. So the confusion, it's not bad. Where the problem arises is because we struggle with it and we resist it. But it's just life bringing you here. But here's the thing. You are in balance when you are in flow. And if your energy is telling you this and you try to force yourself to do the opposite, that is not flow, that is resistance. You will return to balance, but you have to accept and go through this phase first, or this one. Life knows exactly what it's doing. So in this case, just allow yourself to be confused. Don't try to figure it all out, and don't try to go and do so much from this confused state, because it's going to distract you from what really matters. Take the time, be like a black hole, still. Do nothing, if you like, and just allow your energy to settle. Accept the contraction phase. And the deeper and more quickly you can accept the contraction phase, the easier it is to return to balance. Because let's just take a few more examples. Maybe you're bored. Maybe you have no desire or no motivation. And we judge and label these things as bad. But on the spiritual path, we cannot take the worldly ideas and bring them with us. Meaning, society will tell you one thing, but it's not going to be true when you're on the spiritual path. As you dive deeper within yourself, you go beyond good and evil. So it's basically just you and you. You and God, you and life. And you can't use the way that others judge, the way that society judges. You cannot use this to judge yourself. Because that's going to block your spiritual growth. So, dive deeper into the boredom. Realize it's okay not to have desire right now. Just relax and rest and do nothing if that's what you feel like. If you don't have any motivation to do anything, what's the problem? The problem is that you have a strong desire to so quickly get back here. And guess what? That reveals an attachment. If you can't slow down and do nothing, it means something is blocking your spiritual growth. An attachment to doing things. And that is the whole game of spiritual growth. You will find yourself imbalanced because you're attached to something. Some identity, some belief, some story. And the next step in your spiritual growth is letting go of that attachment. First recognizing it and then working through it. And what those attachments manifest as is your judgment. Your thoughts. Think of the thoughts like the symptom and the attachment like the underlying disease. The attachment is what causes you to label boredom, no desire, no motivation, confusion, as bad. Now let's take it a step further, shall we? Let's say you're going through a horrible situation. And if you're not right now, just keep this in mind. It's the same exact thing. It's just more painful. You see, if life didn't give us these terrible things that happen, then we would be like spiritual eunuchs. No balls. Just kind of dead, lifeless beings that just walk around and are perfect all the time. Yes. No problems. It is the difficult situations that give you depth. But depending on how attached you are to your animal body will determine how much you suffer these experiences. Because the animal body is designed to pursue pleasure and avoid pain. So we naturally resist these kinds of things. And on top of that, we judge them, which keeps us further in resistance. But it's the same exact thing. Life is just breaking down what you are not. Because we can spend our whole lives attached to these certain identities, these stories and beliefs about who we believe we are. And it's just not accurate. Because your attachments keep you from your true and divine nature. If you believe that you're a banker and this is everything, that's living deeply in ignorance. And because the truth is eternal, all ignorance will fade eventually. The light of truth will be revealed. And the more attached we are to ignorance, the more we will suffer. One of the main sources of spiritual growth is suffering. As I like to say, the source of all suffering is ignorance or unconsciousness. But the root of all enlightenment is suffering. Darkness, light. They play perfectly into each other. Perfectly balanced. And that is the key. You want to stop thinking that one of these is better than the other. This is what a lot of religious people do. God is the good guy. God the Father, the force of order. And Satan is the bad guy. The force of chaos, the force of death, the force of destruction. But when you look at, for instance, Eastern gods, they are non-dual. This duality, the number 2. But older civilizations, doesn't matter if you're East or West, old civilizations have a tendency for unity. Why? Because in our evolution process, we came from unity and fell into separation. That was the whole thing that happened in the Garden of Eden. Adam and Eve were at one with God. Then they ate from the fruit of separation. Knowledge, the knowledge of good and evil. Duality. And the moment they entered into that, they became separated from God, separated from paradise, down into a cruel world. And everybody has been living in that world ever since. But the story is of our human evolution. So, societies that used to exist long ago, they were more in touch with the underlying true nature of reality, the oneness of everything. Now, in our current society, everything is separate. Think about the United States. It's all about individuality. I am separate from you, and we are all unique snowflakes. And this is where ego comes from. But as you go back to unity, ego dissolves. And because we're attached to ego, guess what? Bad, good. And this creates a kind of split in the human psyche, where we begin repressing all of our dark aspects. And what happens is because we've rejected all of these parts of ourselves, they come back later to haunt us and ruin our lives. If you've ever done something really stupid that sabotages your life, that's really made your life difficult, and you don't know why you did it, here's why. There's something I call the monster mind. Book coming out soon. And this monster mind is a Frankenstein creature that's the accumulation of all the repressed aspects of ourself. All the parts that have been cast into darkness. So what happens is that we're born, we start growing up, and we start developing an ego. And this ego is like the center of gravity. The center of our experience. And this center pulls to it ideas, beliefs, stories, identities, attachments. It gets attached to all these thoughts. And its main job is discernment. What is good for me? What is not? And it's rooted in our animal body. So, for instance, when you're young, Your parents will tell you this is good, this is bad. So you'll take on the good characteristics that put you in favor with your parents, and you'll reject the bad ones. And these go down into your shadow. So for instance, what happens a lot of the time is that we repress our authenticity to fit in with others. So we wear this mask our whole lives, and it's not really us. And that mask is an identity. And so what happens is that life will say, you really think that's who you are? I don't think so. Let's just burn everything down and see what you think now. So it can destroy your life. And this force is called the trickster figure. It's very ironic. For instance, my buddy just experienced this. He just got a new car. He was going to start working because, well, the house that I'm living in, they're losing it. So people need money. And he was going to use the car to do like Uber. Then the day he registered the car, he got pulled over for a DUI. And he went to jail. And now he can't drive. Why? The trickster came along and said, you thought, and you'll see. This is not just an imaginary thing. It's like a poltergeist. It's a force that you can feel and sense in your life if you pay attention. Also, it's a clown. That's why people are scared of clowns. I'm getting chills even talking about it. But it doesn't mess around. Now its whole game is having fun, so it's messing with you, and it's laughing at you. We're not laughing. The ego's not laughing. But it's not an enemy. It's helping you remember that you are not your ego. Now there's a group of Hindu monks called the Agori, and they follow what is called the left-hand path. And this is kind of like the opposite of mainstream spirituality and religion. Whereas spirituality is like love and life and light. And the Agoris are like death and grossness. They tend to meditate upon dead bodies and drink and eat out of human skulls. Why do they do this? It's because when you go through extreme things, you become free from your attachments. Think about if you meditated upon a dead body, just literally sat on its stomach, on some bones, you would probably be trying to meditate and be thinking, oh, this is really weird. Because there's an ego attachment to who you believe you are. So it is the difficult, the crazy, the dark experiences that are some of the most helpful things, because they simply just cut away our attachments. They call the left-hand path, I forget what they call it. It's just fast and brutal. And that is how I became awakened. It's like life, or one way to look at it, like somebody asked about my tattoo on my face, and it's a symbol of the Divine Mother. In this case, the Hindu goddess Kali. Now, to the Western mind, she is demonic, but this is why East and West, they don't mesh well together. Western is dualistic mind, Eastern is non-dual. So, Kali, the Divine Mother, is a symbol of nature. And nature is both nurturing and destructive. Nature has been trying to kill us since the beginning of time. But nature also gives us nourishment. So Kali is both this kind of fierce demonic figure and also the Divine Mother. If you want a little bit of backstory on these swords, I got the swords as a tribute to the Divine Mother. Because, well, in my battles with her, it's like she has like 8 arms. And all the arms have swords in them. And here I am trying to fight her. You got nothing on me. And basically what happened is that she just cut me to pieces. In my battle with the gods, I stood no chance. And so she annihilated me. And so I got these swords as tribute. And the thing is, a lot of us go through a spiritual awakening because of suffering. The dark night of the soul, which is really the dark night of the ego. The ego is not having a good time, but the soul is emerging. In order for the soul to merge, when the body breaks down, when the mind breaks down, the soul is revealed. That is why so many religions preach fasting and becoming free from the senses, beating down your animal body, doing long walks, thousands of miles. Now, a story that perfectly sums up the spiritual path is that of the Knights of the Round Table, in which they were in search of the Holy Grail and found their way to a dark forest, and each man walked into the forest in the place in which it seemed darkest to them. And in that forest there is a great beast, a great monster, and it is guarding the Holy Grail. In this case, the monster mind. But this story is a reflection of you. The forest is the forest of your mind, the labyrinth, the maze. You see, there's a word that Carl Jung used to use called circumambulation. It basically means walking around a holy object. So, the whole spiritual path is at the center of the maze. There is your true and divine essence, the fountain of life, the philosopher's stone, the kingdom of heaven, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter. It's the good stuff. It's what you want. And so what will happen is that we'll kind of just spiral around it over and over again. We'll approach it from different angles. And what we will experience along the journey is problems, struggles, roadblocks, difficulties. We will continue to fight with the monster mind. Think about it this way. And this is the journey of the ego, the sense of self. The ego is like a dark cloud that separates us from the light and the warmth of the sun, our true divine nature. The ego is illusion, it's ignorance, it's darkness. So we're stuck in this dream world. We're stuck in the Matrix or the Truman Show. And there's a moment of awakening when you begin this journey of circumambulation. And what happens is that as you go along this journey, you bump up against these different attachments. All that is keeping you from the center. And the monster mind is like the force of resistance, preventing you from getting here. But if you can reframe your mind about it, you can realize that it's not a bad thing. In fact, it is your greatest teacher, because it's showing you where you're still attached. So for instance, you have some negative thoughts about another person, and you really feel hateful and resentful. That is showing you where you're still attached. If you do something really stupid and ruin your life a bit, somewhere you're still attached. All of our experiences are reflections of us. And so on the spiritual journey, you have to kind of ignore your outer reality in terms of, I'm just a human being living my life. Not anymore. You're a spiritual being having a human experience. And the difference is that just being a little human, you're going to be so invested in your outer experiences. And that's going to distract you from the whole purpose of life. That is God realization. That is finding the center of the maze. And you can see how when you stop being so concerned about your results in the world and you start focusing on spiritual growth, your problems, your struggles become your greatest assets. If you're so focused on getting what you want, all of your struggles and your problems will be roadblocks to getting what you want. So you're going to be in resistance, and you're going to lack clarity, and you're going to fly off somewhere away from the center. And you can get lost. Imagine a labyrinth. It's got millions of ways to get lost, and only a few ways to get to the center. Some souls, they get lost, and they never find their way. And other souls, like me, we find the center. And then our whole purpose from that point on is to guide others to what we found. Because it's dark, and it's confusing. It's very easy to get lost, which is why they recommend a guru. I don't have to be your guru, but just saying. It's helpful for someone to be able to show you the way, so you don't have to spend years lost. But the thing is, if we're just too afraid of the monster mind, of walking into that dark forest, you never get the gold. And those are people who just settle for a boring average life. No adventures, no dragons, just lukewarm. So it takes some courage. And what you find is that center, which is the self, it's guiding you. It's like a magnet. And you can feel your way toward it, like a compass. But what happens, the reason people get lost is because they're disconnected. Meaning they're too consumed by the world. That is why, on the spiritual path, you will be isolated. You will be alone. Because if you do not spend time alone, you will not reflect. You will be distracted by your senses, and you won't have any reason to find the self. That is why most often people come to spirituality when their lives fall apart. Because they need some relief. They need to find freedom from the suffering they're experiencing. And when you look within, you find that freedom. And that freedom is the self. But it's a journey. It's a maze. And we experience the monster mind as the force of resistance all along the way. But the moment you reframe your attitude, now it's guiding you instead of keeping you at bay. You see, this is the funny thing about the forces of the demonic. They're only bad when you label them as bad. It's again the difference between the Western mind and the Eastern mind. The Eastern mind realizes that the darkness and the light are equally important to the truth. They are both good. But the Western mind, because of our conditioning, the dualistic mindset, we cannot fathom that the darkness is good because we have been programmed to believe that it is bad. Jesus is the good guy, Satan is the bad guy. And if you think about it, this is what we're talking about. The Christ is the self. The ego can't be like Satan. I like to think the monster mind is more like Satan. If you want to get really practical with it, Christ is the heart mind. Satan is the reptilian mind. It's the difference between pure selfishness and pure selflessness. Think about the Christ and the Antichrist. They are opposite polarities. They're just mirror reflections of each other. They're equal in value but opposite in degree. And so the heart is always guiding you home. But if you're disconnected from your heart, you'll get lost. And I like to say that if Jesus came back around in a different body, different name, they would crucify him again. Because what he was talking about, he was leading you back to this. He was trying to guide people through the maze. That is confusing. But what is at the center of the maze? God. Jesus himself found God. And he was like, hey everybody, come on. Over here. Come this way. And everyone was like, no, crucify him. But guess what? Doesn't matter. The self is eternal life. What power does death have in the presence of life? Nothing. So Jesus could heal people from the dead because death has no power over one who finds God. Those who find God do not die. Only the ego dies. Only the body, only the mind. And you are none of these things. And the whole spiritual awakening journey is this realization that you were the Christ, or that you are the Christ, but you have forgotten your true nature. This is what Jesus was telling you. And if you think about it, these are psychological terms from Carl Jung. Maybe not exactly, but you get the idea. The merging of spirituality and science. Wow. Carl Jung already proved God. It's already been proven for thousands of years. People are ignorant. Just remember this one thing, if you can see it. The obstacle is the way. We always avoid the one thing that will help us most. I know I did it for years. You know how long I procrastinated making these videos? For like 3 or 4 years. And one day I just started. And it sucked for a long time. Until now it doesn't suck. But if I never had the mindset of overcoming the resistance, then I never would have gotten here. So we cannot be afraid of the problems, of the things that bring discomfort, but that through discomfort we grow. And you can't grow without discomfort. It's like your teeth. Have you ever had a teeth that was growing? I don't think babies like it. So we have to kind of get rid of this programming that the darkness is bad, the problems are bad, the struggle is bad. It's not bad. The darkness and the light are equally important. The villains in your life are equally important as the good guys or the good girls. It's all perfect. So the one mindset I would like to leave you with is just begin becoming aware when you're going through the fire, the difficult situations, and just begin asking yourself this question and repeating it. How is this trying to serve me? Begin trying to find the answers because you will find them. But if you don't ask, you shall not receive. And once you establish yourself in this attitude, in this mindset of being able to transmute negativity into positivity, after that, nothing will ever destroy you in this life because you will have become a master of energy. And so you will be able to use anything that happens to you for your highest spiritual growth. I am Ray. And if you still feel stuck on your journey and don't want to mindlessly wander through the maze, you can talk to me, and we'll help you get the clarity you need to know exactly what to do moving forward. And I'm having a live masterclass on April 26th, and we're going to explore how you can become a master of the universe and create any life you desire regardless of your current external circumstances. So join us. The link will be in the description. And if you're watching this from the future, I'll post the recording in our free community. Much peace and many blessings, and remember, just be.